Hello? Hello? How is everybody? Okay. Let us see. Let's turn that down a little bit. But hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? I am here. Ooh, do I have that up? I don't have that up. 1 second there, bud. Let me get the blurb going here. Let me see. That is a browser source. Which is that. Add source. Add source. Okay. Should be able to blurb now. Hopefully. Okay. New camera. Yes, this is the new camera. I'm still working on it. I look very blue right now. There we go. There we are. I'm very blue right now, but yes, this is the new camera. Still have to refine some stuff, but yeah. So, plan for today, I got about an hour here to just answer whatever questions you guys have. And while we do that, I'm going to do some research for our next long-form video. I've got my notepad here. If you guys have suggestions for a video, I have to make a lot of videos this week because I'm going to be out of town next weekend. And so I've got my notepad here. If you guys want to suggest a video, I'll write it down and we'll get going. Chat only shows Twitch chat. Interesting. Interesting. How do I fix that? Let us see. Let us see. It was showing both earlier. Okay. Okay. Cool, that gives me no information whatsoever. Yeah, Suitman, so we got YouTube and Twitch going at the same time right now. But anywho. That's another thing I don't have. Man, this is a comedy of errors here, isn't it? Let's do text-to-speech, add source. Okay, that should be good now, so that should work. There we go. And then our text, let me add another chat box here, see if that'll work. Oh, we're frozen. That's unfortunate. Frozen on Twitch. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Okay, so for this stream, chat's just gonna have to be Twitch, because I don't know how to fix it right now, and it's gonna fuck everything up. But, let's see if I can get Twitch going, because Twitch is fucked up. Let's see. Very interesting. I wonder if my bitrate's too high, because I did change my bitrate. I doubt I can change that right now, though. Yeah. Let's change that back down. I think 6,000 was too much for them. Okay. Twitch is back. Good. Twitch is back. Okay. Good lord. Anyway, let's look into... So, I want to do a little bit of research here while I answer your questions. I was sort of going to get an outline here about my next topic for a long-form video, which is, of course, as I said in Discord, a full breakdown on the Didact. So, let's see. I'd rather stand, actually. Let's stand up. I also need to get a book out from our collection, which I saw yesterday, so let me look at that, and we'll be back momentarily.
Wow!
Alright. I'm back. So, how is everyone doing today? Everyone doing okay? That's way too big. That is way too big. Growing pains, you know? Okay, so the Didact. I sort of had an outline already done, but I wasn't too happy about it, so we'll see if we can get some. And we're just gone again. Good lord. Okay. So, here we go. What I wanted to do is in Epitaph, the Didact he starts off sort of as this molten blob of sort of ash and rage and hatred, and then he forms into a body, but it's not quite his body. Let's see, where does he recognize his body again? That's not until it's a couple chapters in. Aha, okay. Did I get a haircut? I cut my own hair. So, yes, I did cut my hair. No, it's not I didn't go get a haircut, but you know how it is. What did Spartan generations do on their free time? That's a good question. So, we know Spartan 2s didn't get a whole lot of free time, but when they did have free time, and we see this in the Kilo 5 trilogy as well as other places, they spent a lot of time just maintaining their armor, maintaining their weaponry, and so they spent a lot of time working on things, working on what they were doing, making sure that their equipment was ready to go for what was to come, for the missions to come. Unfortunately, though, we don't have that much information when it comes to Spartan 3s, because most Spartan 3s...
So excited for Morts with you.
I'm excited too, Kyle. I am very excited too. Spartan 3s were different because we don't get a great deal of information on what they did in their free time, because they trained, they were in training, they got their augmentations, they got their armor, and then for the most part they died. You know what I mean? So we have like Tom and Lucy, we have the Spartans of Noble Team after the fact, where they lived long enough to sort of have free time, but we don't get great information on what they were doing in that free time. There's a short story where Tom and Lucy are on Laconia Station, and they have a little bit of free time, and in fact that's when June gets thrown out into space. And during that time, Lucy's working on something, I can't remember exactly what, but they're being productive. They don't lounge around, they don't sit around doing nothing. They're always doing something. You know what I mean? I think I got Twitch figured out. I think my bitrate was too high. I turned it up. last week, and that's when we started having problems. Found you about a year ago, thanks to Laser00, giving you a shout out. Become one of my main sources of Halo content. Keep it going. I appreciate you, Matthew. I appreciate you dearly. Good, good. Pre-roll. Good. Okay. Let's see. So, the way this Didact video... What's great about Epitaph is... Epitaph goes over the Didact's life without the confusion of the Forerunner trilogy. Like, if you've read the Forerunner trilogy, you probably know what I'm talking about. It is written in such a way to where it's... I think it's almost meant to be confusing. At least it was for me. I had to read it a couple times to even get a semblance of understanding for it. And so, the great thing about Epitaph is that it doesn't really... It goes over the Didact's life without that very interesting thing. You know what I mean? Interesting writing style that Greg Bear had. But, let's see. So, right. So the Didact...
Somebody put me on the registry, because I'm fucking these kids!
Fucking damn. Oh boy. Are you going to be playing Halo with viewers? So we haven't done a community night in quite some time. That's a good point. Let's do that, actually. Let's do our next stream, our next Sunday stream. We'll do that with you guys. Let's do that. So let's look at my calendar here. Next Sunday, which will be the what? The 13th. Not the 6th. We do this every other Sunday. So on the 16th, we'll do a community day instead of an AMA. How's that sound? Make a note of that. On the 13th. So, join us on the 13th. That will be next Sunday. Join the Discord so that we can get joined up easily and efficiently. I skipped the Spartan 4s. What do they do on their free time? So that's actually a really good point. So the Spartan 4s are the most human-like, or the most normal of the Spartans. And so you have something like there's a Spartan deck on the Infinity, and the reason in my Discord main chat is called Spartan Bars because there's a bar there. So we know on the Spartan deck there is a bar that basically only Spartans go to, and this is where Buck and Veronica Dare get married. So, extrapolating from that, we know that Spartan 4s are sort of the most normal of the Spartans. They have their own deck, there's a bar on that deck, and so the way I take that to mean is a Spartan 4 in their free time would do the same things any other soldier would do on their free time. Go to the bar, have drinks with their friends, relax, go lifting weights, you know, that sort of thing. Thinking about rating some Halo books, do I have any suggestions? So, a great place to start is The Fall of Reach. Like, if you're gonna start reading Halo books, The Fall of Reach, you can't go wrong with it. I would go Fall of Reach, I would go The Flood, and then after that you have First Strike, and Ghosts of Onyx. Those are sort of the first 4 Halo books that came out, and they're really, really good. The Flood has some weaker points in it, but it's still really good. After that, the story continues in Glassland's Thursday War and Mortal Dictata. So those, what is that, 7 books? 4 than 3? Yeah. Those 7 books are the most linear story in Halo. And I say linear because they lead into the next, lead into the next, lead into the next, but you pick up different characters along the way. So that would be a good place to go, or a good way to start, I suppose. Halo Coffee Collector Editions came in. Nice. The coffee is mid, but the shaker cup is nice. That's pretty much what I come to expect from collaborations like that. You know what I mean? Was Sergeant Forge an Orion Project soldier, or was he just a badass? He was just a badass. So there's speculation when it comes to Forge. This has not been confirmed. Okay, we don't know if this is true. It is only speculation on the side of the fans. But it is said that it is possible that Forge was something called a Spartan 1.1. He's not a Spartan. He's not an Orion soldier. He didn't have the augmentations, but it is speculated that his father did, because his father died from something called Boron syndrome, which it is an actual thing in the Halo universe, but it's also what the Office of Naval Intelligence used to cover up Sergeant Johnson's Orion procedures. So, if Forge's father also died of that same thing that they used for Johnson's father, or Johnson himself, it is possible that he was an Orion soldier and that some of those augmentations might have trickled down to Forge himself. So, no, he's not an Orion Project soldier, but his father might have been, and those augmentations might have come down to him. Good question. Very good question. Let's see. Cool. Okay, back to this. So, yeah, that's what I want to go in on. So the Didact had he doesn't know his parents. Well, he did know his parents, but let's go into his parentage. The Didact had a mother and a father. His mother was one of the greatest warrior servants ever. One of the most powerful warrior servants in history, but his father was something called, what is it? He came from like a lost rate. What is that rate called? Interpreters. That had a need to uphold the mantle and bring to light misuse and misinterpretation and corruption of its laws, imprinted in its very essence. The Didact had this not weird, but he had this point of time where he urged on the side of humanity because he believed so strongly in the mantle. And so he thought that eradicating humanity was against the mantle. And if that is the case, I think that probably comes from his father. Oh, what's going on? Okay, okay. It's okay, baby girl. Open that, let's see what that is. Do I think the Halo Infinite timeline should continue or just Halo lore? I want the next game to still be on Zeta Halo and about the things that have happened in Halo Infinite. If that makes sense. Like, Halo 4, for the most part, was a pretty contained story. Halo 5, on the other hand, was not a contained story, and that's somewhat typical for a trilogy. The first book in a trilogy, or the first entry in a trilogy, is usually like a contained story. It has a beginning, middle, and end. However, the second one has a beginning and middle, but leaves off the end for the third entry in that trilogy. And Halo 5 did that, and then they didn't really have any conclusion to that outside of that. So, what I want from going... So we haven't had... What I'm trying to say is, we haven't had a story continue from a previous game from 343 at this point. And I would be very disappointed to see that trend continue into the next game after such, in my opinion, fantastic foundations. From Halo Infinite. Like, Halo Infinite had a lot of good stuff in it, that they could build upon next. And I would be very, very disappointed if they focus on the negative aspects of Halo Infinite and just cut that story and moved on again. I think that would be really bad. What happened to Virgil from ODST? That's a great question. So, Virgil starts working with the Office of Naval Intelligence, and Virgil's handler is a woman named Sadie Indisha. If you have gone through the audio logs of Halo 3 ODST, you'll know about Sadie. She was the daughter of the person who wrote Virgil's code, and so the Office of Naval Intelligence was able to procure her and hire her on as his handler. This is in... He's only ever in New Blood and Bad Blood. In New Blood, he gets captured by insurrectionists, and Buck, Romeo, and Mickey go to save him. This is on a planet called Talitza, and Mickey shows himself to be a traitor at this point. This is when he tries to sell out Buck and Romeo to the insurrectionists. It doesn't work. Buck is able to take down Mickey, and Romeo goes down to the insurrectionist camp. It's a great scene. Buck and Mickey are having this very emotional conversation on a hillside looking down on this camp. Brothers that have betrayed each other. Well, one of them has betrayed the other, and they're gripping with that very difficult situation. They look down, and Romeo's just slaughtering people in this camp. It's really great. After that, he gets taken to Luna. Virgil does. They're on a UNSC station there doing some work, and they get apprehended by Forerunner armigers after Cortana and the Created Uprising. Uh-oh. What now? Interesting. We'll keep that there for now. Anyway, after the Created Uprising, that is when Buck and Romeo save them, and then they take Virgil and Sadie to Laconia to break out Mickey, and then everyone goes to a insurrectionist planet that had not been found by Guardians yet, and they figure out why that planet had not been found by Guardians yet. Unfortunately, while they're there, they sort of lead the Guardians there, so the point ends up being moot anyway. Installation 00 said that because of the Spartan augmentation, Spartans have longer lifespans. Is that true? So what he's quoting there is probably from the Spartan Field Manual, and the Spartan Field Manual is it is canon, and it goes over what it is to be a Spartan, what it's like to be a Spartan, what Spartans have in terms of augmentation, armor, and capability. But I would say that we just don't have enough data at this point to say definitively yes or no. It is theory that they could live longer. It's also theory that they mature into... they get stronger as they age. So like you have Master Chief right now who would be in his late 40s, and then you have someone like Jerome who is in his late 20s, or in his early 20s at the very latest, right? It is theorized that the Master Chief would be stronger than him because he has had more time to come into his augmentations, to mature more, to grow more. Again, that is theory, so he's not wrong, right? We just don't have the... And in fact, the Spartan Field Manual says as such. We just don't know because we haven't gotten there yet. You know what I mean? Like, Spartans are only in their late 40s at this point, so we haven't gotten to a point where they start dying of old age or have symptoms of old age. Falcon or Hornet? I am more on the side of Hornets. And the reason I'm on the side of Hornets is because the in multiplayer, they have guns for the pilot, whereas Falcons only have guns for the other operators. A few days ago when you were playing, I asked if you think there is going to be a resurgence of Forerunner stuff coming up yet. I either missed it or you were unable to answer. So, okay. I do not think that there will be a resurgence of Forerunner stuff at this point. I think they're moving on to ancient human stuff. And the reason I say that is because at the end of Epitaph, or in Epitaph, I should say, there are ancient humans in the domain. At the end of Empty Throne, there are... Twitch is bugging again. I might just end stream for Twitch, honestly, because if it's just not working. You know what I mean? Very frustrating. But what I was trying to say is, in Epitaph, there are ancient humans. In Empty Throne, at the very end, there's an ancient human. And in a recent Waypoint Chronicle, there is an ancient human. One ancient human is being tried by the Forerunners, and then it is later revealed that there are still possible ancient human vestiges around the galaxy, on the perimeter of the galaxy, away from what the Forerunners would consider their territory. So, what I think is going to happen next is we're going to have more human. I don't think they're going to show like living ancient human Forerunners throughout the series. Is there an Oni for the other branches? No. Oni, while it says naval in the name, they don't only work for the Navy. The Office of Naval Intelligence is the intelligence community for the entirety of the UNSC, basically. Interesting. I just do not get it. I don't get it, but that's okay. YouTube is having problems now. Internet looks good. Interesting. Do the drones have a new alliance? Probably, maybe not. We don't know. So the drones have, we know they went back to their home colony after the fall of the Covenant, but we don't know if anyone's picked them up yet. I don't think. There's one comic that happens. I can't remember if that happens before or after the end of the war. I think it was before the end of the war. Was it 343 Guilty Spark who revealed the human homeworld to the Covenant? No. The Covenant knew about humanity's homeworld before they found Guilty Spark. That's not exactly true. Hold on. They knew about Earth. They knew where Earth was before they met Guilty Spark. On Meridian, they found a luminary. That luminary sent them to... the luminary showed that the portal to the Ark was on Earth. So, they didn't know that it was humans' homeworld, so they only knew that the portal to the Ark was there. And so, that's where they got there. That's how they knew the location of Earth. So when you have Regret's fleet going to Earth, they didn't know it was humanity's homeworld, they just knew that it was a way to the Ark, and that's why they went there. Sort of guns blazing. Oh, I see. So, humanity, ancient humans, I don't think exist anymore. So I don't think that they would have any reason or a capability to come back and deal with the Endless. I do believe that what we heard about humanity being devolved is true, and it even if they weren't devolved, it wouldn't matter because they wouldn't have survived Halo anyway. So that's why I don't think ancient humans are ever going to come back, but I do think we're going to explore ancient human technology that was left on the fringe of the galaxy and not able to be destroyed like the Forerunners wanted to. The Mark 5B armor from Reach. That is a fantastic question. And let me just make sure really quickly. Because I believe it was an experimental armor given to Spartan 3s for testing. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Views constructed. Right, okay, that's what I thought. So, there's a difference. Mark V, or the Spartan 2's Mark V, was constructed by the Office of Naval Intelligence's Materials Group. However, Mark 5B was constructed by private companies that, and they were done in secret specifically for Spartan 3s. And so they have some experimental technology, which is why you have the Spartans of Noble Team having shields before Chief would have gotten his shield on the 29th of September. So, that is why. Do we know what happened to the other members of Fireteam Osiris? Yes and no. Okay, so Buck starts leading Alpha 9 again. He gets married to Veronica Dare on the Infinity by Roland, and he, I believe he is, as far as we know, still working with Alpha 9. Dare, I'm sorry, not Dare, what's her name? Vale. Vale works very closely with the Swords of Sanghelios. She lived on Sanghelios for a little bit as well. She is the one who accompanied the Swords of Sanghelios to a planet called Netherop, where they found something called the Divine Hand, or the Tricala, which was a device, a precursor in nature device, or an origin device, that was meant to be a weapon against the Guardians. Netherop was actually named by the Forerunners a planet of death, or a planet that makes death, which is very, very cool. So that's the last we heard of her. Still working with the Swords of Sanghelios, still alive as far as we know. Locke was working on the Infinity. He was on the Infinity when it went to Zeta Halo, and he escaped the Infinity onto Zeta Halo. And that's pretty much as far as we know. His helmet is being used as a trophy piece by, I want to say his name is Hyperius. It's either Hyperius or Travarius. There's that fight where there's two of them, and one of them has a turret, and the other one has a... Unfortunate. Unfortunate indeed. Interesting. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Do you think we will see more precursors? Good question. There's interesting lore from Bastion about the precursors, and what happened with that. I doubt it, honestly. There's a plan from the Librarian to have the precursors and the Forerunners return at some point from Bastion, and honestly, I doubt we ever get there. Honey Dickin, Kyle, thank you for the subs. Again, you don't have to, you dirty dog. Do we know what Red Team was doing before Halo Wars 1? Yes, we do, vaguely. We don't have, like, specifics, but we do know that they were part of a team that was to assist in planetary evacuations. So a planet would be invaded by the Covenant. Red Team with the Spartans of Omega would show up and try to help people escape. They would give them time to escape by fighting the Covenant, that sort of thing. If they were going to bring back Noble Six, what would be the right way to do so that makes sense within the lore? So this is sort of a funny thing when it comes to Noble Six. At this point, it makes no sense for Noble Six to come back in any way, shape, or form. There is no... With the lore that has been established and that has been added onto, there's no reason Noble Six can come back. The reason I say that is because we know his date of death, and we know that 2 weeks after his date of death, the Master Chief returns and helps. He evacuates his Spartan 2s, the remaining Spartan 2s that lived through the conflict, and they go on to do First Strike and go to Earth. That is basically the last ship out of Reach. So from then on, for multiple years, the UNSC doesn't return to Reach. So he would have to live there for multiple years in an environment that has been glassed, right? That doesn't have much water or anything like that. So we know he didn't escape. If he didn't escape, he had to have starved or died to natural causes, to exposure, to consumption, that sort of thing. I thought she went AWOL to help a friend, and the Swords of Helios kind of followed. So, yes and no. She didn't go AWOL, she went with the UNSC. It was a sanctioned UNSC effort, and the Swords of Helios kind of followed after that. So, it wasn't like they went at the same time to do the same thing together. It's that the UNSC, the Swords of Helios, and the Banished all went to the same place, and the UNSC and the Swords of Helios kind of had to band together to help each other during that time. Let's turn this down. There we go. Okay. Back to this. Interesting. That's still not working there. I wonder what that's about. Okay. So the Didact's father. If I remember right, his parents were executed in a way that was pretty brutal. But I wonder if this has any information on it, or if it's just in Epitaph. Probably just Epitaph. Where has Halfjaw gone? That's a good question. So Halfjaw, basically what he's been doing since the end of the war is going throughout the galaxy, finding surviving Saint-Chayum, which were the race of the prophets, and either killing them or releasing them. So he is he's the one to capture them, and then he's the one to judge if they were guilty of those final days of the war, or if they were not guilty and can continue to live. We know that not every single Saint-Chayum was against the elites. We know that. Let me pull that up real quick. What is that guy's name? That would be Broken Circle. There it is. In Broken Circle, there is a Sanshayum who worked with Sanghili and wanted to help them rather than go against them. He is in the Dance of Chaos. His name is... what? Hanging Gardens... Sanghili... Zoreskin, that's it. So there's a guy named Zoreskin who actually helped the elites during the final days of the war and the Great Schism. So we know that not every single Sanshayum was against the elites, right? So Halfjaw's job was to go out into the galaxy, find them, and then tell their story. There's a short story called Shadow of Intent that goes into what he's doing there. And then he's also in Empty Throne. The Shadow of Intent helps in the conflict with the Lithos. So that's what he's been up to. Spartan Force died off on Zeta Halo, and what would have happened if a singular Spartan 2 showed up as the Infinity went down? So, here's the thing about that. We see in the game, Halo Infinite, Spartan 4, we just see them dead, right? And that we don't get great information on how they died unless you go into the audio logs of the game. There's a book called Rubicon Protocol, and if you've watched my videos, I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, because Rubicon Protocol is fantastic when it comes to showing you how those Spartans died, showing you their goal, their mission, and how they died. And so while you're going through the game and you just see dead Spartans, it's not exactly accurate to what happened. They didn't just die. They weren't just mowed down. They had goals. A lot of them were killed a couple days before the Master Chief found them. So they were fighting on Zeta Halo for months, 6 months before they were killed. What would have happened if a Spartan 2 was there? Well, there was a Spartan 2 there. We know that Chief was there, and it didn't matter much. We know that Fred, Linda, and Kelly might have been there. We don't know where they were. We don't know if they were on the Infinity, but they could have been. There's rumors that they were on a mission away from the Infinity, but we don't know that for certain. So they could be there. They could be on Zeta Halo. We just don't know. Why did humans develop slower than the elites and prophets when it came to technology? That's a fantastic question. So, all of our technology, all of human technology comes from humans. And what I mean by that is that we didn't copy. Everything that we did ourselves until Onyx and until the Human Covenant War. We got a huge head start when it came to actually building up their arsenal and becoming a spacefaring species and starting colonies. They got a huge head start because they found Forerunner technology on their planets, and they were able to reverse engineer and copy it, whereas humanity, we made everything ourselves. That is true. Bruce says that Spartan 4s didn't have technicians maintaining their armor during Zeta Halo. That is true. They had to do their maintenance themselves. Their armor really broke down, which really came into one of the reasons why Rakshasa was made. Will I make a video about mech suits in Halo? I will make a note of that. Halo mech suits. There are a couple to choose from, right? We have the variant, or the prototype. We have the Cyclops. We have the all that good stuff. Take a screenshot. There we go. All right, a video shall be made. Okay, back to this. Oh, that's still that. Okay. The Didact's father became outspoken and passionate about his lost history. His neat speakers, Silver Tongue. We know that Sloan tried to... Sloan is the AI from Halo 5. He tried to sort of pick up the mantle where she left it. He calls himself something like... No, that's not what I want. So Sloan sort of tries to take up the mantle, and this is where we get into the Chimera Armor Corps. He tries to create Spartans of his own to go against the UNSC, which is pretty cool. Is the energy sword comparable to a lightsaber? So I don't know the lore or the science behind a lightsaber. I'm not a Star Wars guy. But an energy sword is basically just hardened plasma. And so if that is what a lightsaber is, then yeah, they would be very comparable. Energy swords have very interesting lore. They come from something called a burn blade, which is just a metal sword, like a traditional sword that you and I would see in our history. But they were two-sided or two-pronged, just like an energy sword was, with the hilt in the middle, and they were hooked up to an energy pack, and they were heated to a very, very red-hot glow. So it was like a primitive version of a hot energy sword. They're called burn blades. Very cool. Is the UNSC making bigger ships, or are they sticking it to their current ships? Here, let me just turn up my mic. Oops, that's not what I want. There we go. Hopefully that works. The UNSC, their ships after Onyx are different from the ships before Onyx. Size isn't the thing that changes, so they're comparable to what they were beforehand, but technology is the thing that changes. What books are the burn blades from? They're from Broken Circle, from the first and second part of Broken Circle for the elites in the refuge. But they are building a second Infinity class ship called the Eternity. It's supposed to be a sister ship to the Infinity. However, the Infinity keeps getting its shit knocked in, and so it keeps having to go back to get repairs, and when it does that, it basically just uses the Eternity as spare parts. And so the Eternity has had a really, really rough time being built. So, but we'll get there. Should the Banished Spartans, are they a good concept for future games, or should they be left outside of the games? So, Halo's very interesting in that there have been human versus human conflicts in the past, but we've never fought other humans in the games outside of, like, multiplayer and that sort of thing. It's always been against aliens. I would, right, I'm a lore guy, right? So I think it would be really, really cool to see a Banished Spartan in the game. I don't think the greater Halo audience would like that necessarily. But think about, like, when you in Halo Infinite, when you have those boss fights, specifically like fighting Tremonius, and Outpost Tremonius. Instead of fighting him, imagine if it was a human, a Banished Spartan. I think that would be really, really cool. They would have to be, to make it worth it, I think they would have to be very difficult encounters. But I would love to see it. How did the Banished become so efficient at dealing with Spartans compared to the Covenant? So, the Banished is very interesting. The Banished changes over time, right? How did the Banished become so efficient at dealing with Spartans is because they took their strongest, their most capable, and they started training specifically to kill Spartans. There's a division of Banished called Spartan Killers. And their job is just to find Spartans and kill Spartans. Now, how are they better at this than the Covenant? Well, in the Covenant, they're, for the most part, dealing with Spartan 2s, and there are only about 30 or so Spartan 2s. So killing one of them, I mean, you would have to be very, very lucky to even see one, or unlucky, depending on your perspective. You'd have to be very unlucky to see one, and you would have to be very, very skilled to kill one. It did happen, right? It happened more often than the UNSC would like to admit, but after the war, we have the Spartan 4s, we have surviving Spartan 3s, and then we have Spartan 2s. After the war, there are significantly more Spartans doing operations, being out in the field, than there were before the war ended. Excuse me. So, how are they better at killing Spartans? One, there are just more Spartans to kill. They're more prevalent. You would see them out there more often, and you have an entire division of the Banished specifically to kill them. So, also, they have more information on Spartans than the Covenant ever did. The Covenant never had their armor. They never had one inside their ranks. They never had real actionable intelligence when it came to Spartans. They tried to get it, right? There's that insurrectionist plan to sell out the Spartans on Biko. They tried to get that information, but they never could. So they know more about the Spartans, there are more Spartans to kill, and they have people specifically trained to kill Spartans. Is Ilsazane the only Banished Spartan we know of? No, there is another one, and I'm going to blank on his name because he's new. You know what? That's actually not true. She is the only Spartan we know of in the Banished. That is correct. There's another Spartan in Empty Throne who is working to restart the Covenant in... what the hell is his name? It's a silly-ass name, too. Hold on. Is it there? Is it there? Not really. Damn. I'm blanking on his name, but there's a Sanchayom in Empty Throne who is trying to restart the Covenant. He's doing this. He's Casters, not Casters, gosh. He's, Tartarus's son's Dokab. Blanking on his name, but there's a Spartan working with him. Did the Spartan 2s hate insurrection because they were trained for it, or did... So, I would not say that the Spartan 2s ever hated the insurrection. They were trained from childhood to deal with the insurrection, but I don't think that they actually hated them like you would the Covenant. And in fact, the Master Chief after the war, he says that he doesn't think he could ever kill a human again, like he did before the war. So I don't think that they ever hated the insurrection. I think that they were trained against them. They had one conflict before the war started and a couple conflicts with them afterward, but there was never hatred. With all the new tech after the war, how come the UNSC upgraded warships and not ground vehicles? It's a good question. I think it would be a matter of volume. There are a lot less warships than there are warthogs. So if you have a checklist, you're going to have, you know, a couple hundred or a couple thousand warships or large ships to upgrade, whereas you would have smaller things to upgrade. Coming straight off the line, however, they are upgraded, but they didn't retroactively upgrade them like we do see with some of the some of the larger ships. Like, the Infinity was basically done by the time they found Onyx, but after Onyx and the thing that we see. Can I get a... You know what? That's a good point, Bohemian. That's a good point. I got you. Let's see. There's that. Bam. 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 There we go. There's both chats. Good point. Okay. We'll clean that up and make it look better for next time. But do you think Halo needs a what if like Marvel what if? Here's the thing about Halo, people, that I've really come to understand. When I make a video about a specific topic, the people that I'm making that video for won't necessarily be the ones to see it. There's also Halo people... not Halo people, but a lot of people have a very difficult time understanding context. And so, if there were a what if, people would take that as canon, which is a problem, right? There's a fan-made animation about a Noble 6 surviving Reach. There are actual people who believe that because it is pretty good animation, that it's canon. There are people in my comments every day that think because of a fan-made project, Noble 6 is still alive, right? So, would it be a fun thing to watch or a fun thing to do? Sure. But there would be a lot of confusion for people to deal with. And by deal with, I mean me trying to, have the confusion. Anywho, Merrick was the one in Empty Throne. Appreciate you, bud. Appreciate you. Are there any other known Orion Project members prior to Halo 1? There are 2 that we know of. Johnson, 3 that we know of. Johnson, Forge's father, or possible Forge's father. We don't know for sure that he was Orion, but he could have been. And then there's another one in I Love Bees, and he's also an Empty Throne. Again, I'm going to blank on his name. Let me see if I can find it. He's an Empty Throne. Here we go, and Morales, Octavio Morales. Actually, there are more than I thought of. There are unnamed ones, but interesting. Interesting. So, the cut is insane. You like it? Is it true that Spartan 4 still have something to prove? No. If you if you read Rubicon Protocol, you'll understand a Spartan 4. It's unfortunate that it's in a book that most people won't ever read, but if you if you watch that, or if you read that book or listen to it on Audible, you'll understand Spartan Force much better than what has been shown in the game. Wasn't the Sergeant in Contact Harvest also in Orion? So if you're thinking about, he was not an Orion, but Johnson was. I thought that it was grunts who discovered how to understand and talk like humans first. So, I don't recall that. I don't know that it is ever stated who learned how to understand humanity, but what I can tell you is that the first transmission we got from the Covenant was a prophet. It was Truth, and he was speaking English. So... that was before we even knew they were a thing, right? We're immediately hit with the, some alien speaking English to us, and we don't know where this alien's from, what they're doing, but he says that our destruction is the will of the gods, and we are their instrument. So we don't know how they understood that or what, but... James, yeah. Discharged following the end of the project, married Gilly, with whom he fathered Janissary. Died in 2552. Interesting. Very interesting. Do we know why the UNSC have such interesting ship names? So, not really. There used to be naming conventions. It used to be like 3 words, right? Pillar unto, pillar of autumn, forward unto dawn, in amberclad, that sort of thing. But that's changed over time to where now you have there's one called God, what was it called? It's so bad. Welcome to the Snipe Hunt. There's a UNSC ship called Welcome to the Snipe Hunt, and I think that is the worst UNSC ship name ever. But, you know. So it's changed over time, but there's not a particular rhyme or reason. Whoops, gotta keep that consistent now. I've noticed you have never mentioned memory agent. Is there a reason why? Yes, there is a reason why. The reason why is it's hard to find. And if I remember right, fucking stupid. Let me go make sure I'm thinking of the right thing. Yeah. On Spotify for Halo Reach. It's like, it's like, what was that called? Hunt the Truth, but for Halo Infinite instead of Halo 5. And it's about an Oni agent sent to get information to the Master Chief. John, I think you are the only person I've ever seen talk about it. Like, nobody else has ever talked to me about it or wanted anything to do with it. So that's the reason. Other than you, there's been no interest in it. Did the Forerunners reseed the precursors in a different galaxy, or am I going too far? No, but there's, let me see, the Librarian went to Path Cathona, where she had some stuff going there, but let me look. Right, and that led to right, which that then went to right. where is this said? So there's a shield world called Bastion, and it's where the librarian sort of set up a secret laboratory, or it's her secret base where she was able to do things that she wanted to do. Let's see, because there are... Right. Right. Is it going to tell me this or not? Am I going to have to go find the book? I'm blanking on it, because I can't remember what species is there. But the librarian goes to... well, not that. So the librarian goes to Path Chthona. She meets sort of these primitive Forerunners who were left in Path Chthona by ancient Forerunners who were there to hunt the precursors. And she takes them, if I remember right, she takes them to Bastion. Not precursors, but Forerunners. So there should be, if I'm remembering this correctly, there are Forerunners at Bastion who have sort of evolved, or that should evolve into fully fledged Forerunners at some point. Installation 00, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Okay, so the precursors are on Bastion. Okay, that's... I couldn't remember if it was precursors or Forerunners, but I remember there was some primitive something there. Could let Colo worms theoretically operate Mjolnir? Probably not, just because of the neural link. Could they theoretically move it without it? Like, could they fill Mjolnir and move it? Probably. But I doubt they wouldn't be able to actually, like, use it in its intended operation. You know what I mean? What's the lore behind my teams in Husky Raid always sucking? That's real as fuck. That is real as fuck. I get walked like a dog when it comes to playing solo in Husky Raid. It's pretty weird. It's not weird. It's just that I suck at it. I used to be good, but not anymore. Unless I'm playing with a particularly cute fella. Exactly. See? Kyle gets it. We've never lost. Excuse me. Would I be down to see stories explored in Fracture universes? Absolutely. I think Fractures have really interesting things in them. People don't like Fractures because they're sort of alternate universes or non-canon stories. And sort of going against what I said earlier about the what-if situations. I think that, like, Eagle Strike, I think is really, really cool. I think Yorai or Tenrai is also cool, but I think Eagle Strike is really cool. And I think that they could expand on that. What's up with Buck after Halo 5 during or after the events of Infinite? I wish we knew more of him. So, Buck, after Halo 5, reunites with Alpha 9. They go to a planet called Talitza, where they are to rescue Virgil and Sadie. And unfortunately, this is when Mickey shows that he's a traitor. Buck and Mickey have this very emotional fight and talk while Romeo goes down and just slaughters everyone. After that, he that's before Halo 5. After Halo 5, they get the band back together, so to speak. They Alpha 9 has to sort of reunite because Dare has a mission for them. So he goes to Blaho to get Romeo. Then he goes to Luna to get Virgil and Sadie, and then they go to Laconia Station to pick up Mickey. That's also where they pick up Gretchen and Dutch, and then they go to a planet that had been previously like not undiscovered, but it hadn't been hounded by Guardians like a lot of other places were, and so they needed to go there and figure out why. Unfortunately, they kind of lead the Guardians there. After that, however, we don't really know much about it. We don't know if Buck and the rest of Alpha 9 was on the Infinity. I don't think that they have given us that information yet, but yeah. Answer my Spartan 2 question. What's your... okay, here we go. Do Spartan 2s get more free will to do what they want because of the Master Chief? Because of one screen in Halo 5. What do you mean by that? Do you mean like are they able to do what they want because the Master Chief did what he wanted? Or what? I mean, they have free will to go about situations as much as, you know, any other soldier, or even more. Oh boy. Stream's lagging again. Let's see. Let me check this really quickly. There we go. My God. Okay. Looks like my internet is having a fart again, but we're also about out of time here, so I would like to thank everyone for showing up. We'll be back here on Tuesday, right? We do Tuesday and Thursday streams, and then every other Sunday, so we'll be back here on Tuesday. I won't have one the following Thursday because I'm going back home, and then the next Sunday stream that we have here will be in the Discord, and we'll do a community day. So we'll play custom games with you guys. I hope that sounds good with everyone. I love you all, and I will see you on Tuesday. All right? Love you.